Welcome back everyone to Truth, Lies and Hair Ties. This is a channel that I set up last year when I was in lockdown. I'm actually a hair artist and I haven't done hair for a very long time. Got a bit bored and I thought, let's talk about my passion whilst doing some hairstyles as well. So it's for people who want an idea of what to do with their hair, but also listen about animals in captivity. So it's completely up to you. You can just have me in the background or you can try and follow along with the hairstyle that I will attempt to create. So today we are going to talk about a TV programme that I watched quite a lot when I was little, and it was called Flipper. I'm sure there's quite a few of you out there who know of it. So it was an American TV series that came out in 1964 and it ran for roughly around 3 years. And it's basically about a family that have a pet dolphin. Obviously it's a wild dolphin, but it's about all of their amazing adventures that they go on.
They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter than he. And we know Flipper lives in a world full of wonder, lying there under the sea.
And lots of people, they said it was pretty much an aquatic Lassie. And for those of you who don't know, Lassie is basically a TV programme where a family have this pet dog and it's about all of their adventures that they go on. But as you can imagine, a dolphin, now that is something a little bit different.
Amazing one, and a boy who becomes his friend. And it's the story of their wonderful adventures together.
And I think people began to realise quite how intelligent they were, and it was just something a bit unique and different to watch on TV. So it quickly became very popular and very successful. And the TV series was actually filmed at Miami Seaquarium, which of course is where Lolita is still being kept. Now, there was actually quite a few movies that came out. There was one just before the TV series, and there was one in 1996 that had Elijah Wood in it and Paul Hogan. I have seen it. It is a children's programme, but I still really enjoyed watching it, and I love Paul Hogan and he was really, really funny. So you're probably thinking, well, who played Flipper? There was actually 5 of them, but I think the one that was used the most was called Kathy, and the trainer was called Ric O'Barry, and his story is very interesting and I've been following it for a long time now. So he was about 21 when he started to work for Miami Seaquarium, and his job was to capture dolphins, and mostly it was at Biscayne Bay, and he said in the first year they captured over 100.
21 years old at the time, and I just started. My first day on the job was capturing dolphins in Biscayne Bay. In those days, Biscayne Bay was teeming with dolphins. They were everywhere. And in that first year, we captured over 100. They continued capturing dolphins and depleted the bay to where it's practically empty now. You could buy them right off the Seaquarium boat for $300 a piece, or $350 if you wanted it sized and sexed. And of course, everybody wanted females, so the majority were female.
So as you can imagine, after that year, each time they went back, there would be fewer and fewer dolphins in that area. Now, the reason that they used all female dolphins was because the males, they would often fight. So they would have quite a lot of blemishes and scars, and so it wouldn't be really great for the TV programme. However, they did use males for the very famous tail walk, because apparently the females didn't quite have enough stamina to hold it for long enough. So when Ric was asked, actually, we've got another sort of job for you now. Could you come and train a few of these dolphins for a new TV series? He was like, oh, okay, sounds quite interesting. And he quickly became the highest paid animal trainer. And it's not like he really knew what he was doing at the beginning, but I think he had a very good connection with the dolphins, and especially Kathy. So I think that that connection and that trust that they had, helped quite a lot. And now you're probably thinking, well, what happened to Flipper, after the TV programme finished? I thought maybe that she'd be back in to an aquarium, just, performing shows again or something. I mean, she's much more trained than, some of the other animals that they've got on show there. So, I would have thought she would be an asset to any aquarium.
I actually captured those 7 dolphins. We ended up using 5. Kathy was the one I thought of as Flipper. We used her 99% of the time in the TV series. And when it ended, her life changed dramatically. She didn't have all this activity that she had in intermingling and so forth. Placed in a steel tank at the Seaquarium in isolation. And she died there of self-induced asphyxiation. She just didn't take the next breath. And that's how it is with dolphins and whales. They're not automatic air breathers. Every breath is a conscious effort, and they can end their life anytime they want to by not taking the next breath. The word suicide comes to mind, and that's the only word in the English language that describes that self-induced asphyxiation.
So can you imagine, from being stimulated every day and training and many hours of work and, just keeping busy the whole time, to suddenly nothing? I think that's probably why she went downhill, basically. And one day Rick got a phone call and was like, I don't think she's doing very well. So he came along, and well, this is what happened.
It's very easy to lull yourself into complacency when you're getting a new Porsche every year and, just living a great lifestyle and have your blinders on. To be perfectly blunt, I was as ignorant as I could be for as long as I could be.
For Ric O'Barry, the blinders came off when the program ended and all the props went into storage, including Kathy, the dolphin who played Flipper. 18 months later, O'Barry got a phone call that changed his life.
I remember going out there that day, and it was a very hot day, and she was black from sunburn. Because she spent most of her time on the surface of the water, her fin was bent, just like Keiko's. That's why they're bent. Gravity. That's nature saying there's something wrong here. They travel underwater where there's no gravity. And so she swam over and looked me right in the eye, took a breath, and just held, just held it. Well, she sank to the bottom of the tank. I jumped in and pulled her to the surface. She committed suicide.
It's quite heart-wrenching when you listen to the experience that he went through. And this is the difficult part, because people are like, well, can animals commit suicide? Can whales and dolphins do this? And as Rick said, and I've said before, whales and dolphins, they are voluntary breathers. So they consciously have to take the next breath. So I thought, well, I'll look into it a bit more, and I'll see what, a few scientists have said as well. And it was very interesting, because they basically said, well, the question is, do animals know how they are feeling? Are they conscious that they might not have a future, or they're not happy with their future now, thus wanting to end it? Do they have a higher knowing, a higher being of themselves, in order to perform suicide. And there was one scientist who believed, I think maybe suicide is more for us, for humans, and for the animals it might not necessarily be I'm going to kill myself. It might just be they know they don't want to be here anymore. Whether or not they know they're going to be taking their own lives is another question. But, you know, we do know that dolphins are very intelligent. And so, yeah, one of the scientists basically said, I think, you know, especially because they are voluntary breathers, they have the awareness of whether or not they want to take the next breath. And I just think it's very sad that Kathy decided to do that. You know, I was looking into it, I was thinking, right at the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, let's try and see from the other side and think, if it wasn't committing suicide, or if it wasn't because she wasn't feeling great, what could the other answer be? And I thought, well, maybe it would be, you know, her health had deteriorated. Maybe she was really unwell. And if she was unwell, then maybe that would cause something to go wrong in her body, and maybe it was shutting down, and then that's perhaps why she couldn't take the next breath. Not that she didn't want to, but she just physically couldn't. And if that's true, well, it's still captivity that did that to her, wasn't it? If that is also the conclusion, you know, she wasn't being looked after very well. You know, she had nothing to keep her going, to stimulate her, you know, so yeah, it was very, very sad. And I think this was kind of the tipping point for Barry, because pretty much, probably from that day on, he has dedicated his life on the reverse, on the flip side, and decided to become an animal activist. He decided he's not going to capture them anymore. He's actually going to set them free. And I think for him, having worked in that atmosphere, in that environment, he was able to see that it wasn't right. He deep down felt that it wasn't good for these animals. And he probably felt very guilty for a long time, because obviously he'd captured so many beforehand. And now he's dedicating his life being on the other side. And there was quite a few videos, documentaries that I watched. One of them was he went to the Philippines and they found this dolphin like rehabilitation center. So yeah, any injured or sick, unwell dolphins will be sent there and eventually be set free. Yay, lovely. But he was there to investigate to see if this was actually correct. And you can pay some money to get a ticket to take a boat over to where this place was. And I mean, there was a little bit of a viewing platform, a few, you know, sort of chairs and stuff, and then just kind of some fences built into the ocean. So I mean, it would be very, very easy to just let them go. It's not like you'd have to crane them out or anything. And he could see that there were sort of signs and posters saying, you know, feed a dolphin for the day, or, you know, go and play with a dolphin. And Ric was obviously like, well, they're not going to be setting them free. In fact, the last thing that you want to do if you are going to let them go is bring in more human contact. That's not really going to help, especially if you're wanting to set these wild animals into the ocean. You want to reduce the amount of human interaction. Not just be like, yeah, kids, come and play with dolphins all day. Apparently we're going to set them free. And that is a violation. You can have something there if it is a rehabilitation centre or a sanctuary or something like that. But what they were doing wasn't actually allowed. So it was a very interesting documentary. And this is basically what he does all over the world. You know, he travels to lots of places. I'd say he's... it hasn't come without any consequences. He has set quite a few dolphins free, and of course there'll be quite a few countries that are not happy with that. So he's actually been arrested 12 times. And I don't know if it's all of them, but I think nearly all of them, he sort of breaks the law, but he owns up to it and says, yep, I let them go. They're gone. Bye. I guess it's a way of, as he said before, bringing attention to this law, bringing attention to the fact that, you know, yes, what he's done is wrong, but what you're doing is even worse, keeping these animals in captivity when really, you know, they shouldn't be. And so it's, yeah, I've seen lots of pictures of him protesting in all sorts of different places. And one place I saw him, he was at Marineland in Canada. Yes, my favourite place of all time. So I'm really happy that he was there protesting. That definitely would have been one place that I would be more than happy to join in walking with them. And I wonder what I would have put on my poster. I'm not entirely sure. So Ric actually set up the Dolphin Project. Obviously, I'll put all the information down below. You can join in. There's all sorts of things you can do to raise money or sign your name, or all sorts of different projects that you can have a look at. And what I'm going to be doing next time, I'm really not looking forward to it. So Ric O'Barry was recently in the new movie documentary that came out that's called The Cove. And as I said, I know I'm actually really not looking forward to watching it, because I know it's going to be pretty awful to get through. But I will, for you guys to watch. And I will tell you all about it, you know, my feelings and what I think. But yes, it's basically, he's in the movie talking about it. I know it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna be pretty sickening. I think that's the word. I've only seen a very small clip and a few photos, and honestly that was enough. So I don't really know how I'm going to get through this entire movie, but I would definitely try. All right, well, that's it for today. Some of you may have looked at my hairband. I know it's a little bit different. It's actually got these little tassels attached to the end. I found this in the Philippines at an airport, and I thought it almost looks like you're wearing earrings, which I thought was quite cool. And this is a hair clip. I do that quite a lot. If I have a hairband, I actually clip on a hair clip. So anything like that, just to jazz it up. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Keep creating hairstyles. When you're watching TV or a movie, just sit down with some clips and give it a go. Of course, the more you practice, the better you will become. And stay positive at the moment. I know it's really hard. I've definitely been struggling quite a lot with this lockdown. Yeah, been doing a lot of yoga, which has helped, and a lot of walking. But it's really hard sometimes. So everyone, yeah, just carry on smiling, and we will hopefully get through this together. All right, well, until next time, bye.